Joe presents Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby, together with Guinness.
Hello and you're very welcome to Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby here on Joe, together with Guinness. Trimby, it's Christmas week. Are you feeling festive? Are you feeling happy?
I feel like we went a little bit too early in the Christmas jumpers.
We did, didn't we?
Now look at us.
Yeah,
Not
it's like
very-
Christmas is over already.
Yeah.
And it's the 23rd.
We've peaked.
Yeah.
They were Thanksgiving jumpers.
Yeah, look, Christmas just gets earlier and earlier every year, so we dive in, I think, as Irish people, we just dive in and start having the crack from the 1st of December. So I think I almost turned into a pint of Guinness the other day, so I'm definitely well into the festivities. We have loads of rugby to talk about today. I hope you're all enjoying these few days before Christmas, and you can sit down and take the time to listen to us ramble on about how Connacht had their hearts absolutely ripped from their chests in the last minute at the RDS and stamped on the ground. Ulster beat Munster in a game that was littered with talking points, which was very handy. And we have also got a nice little interview with a very, very big, huge, enormous Munster centre named Chris Farrell that we'll be playing for you later on. I met him down in Limerick during the week. He actually gave me quite a laugh about how he gets rid of his Christmas tree. So I want to show you a video of how he did this. This is brilliant. So this is Chris on how he gets rid of his Christmas tree.
So any plans for Christmas? What do you do?
Got a couple of days off, so I'll head up home, up to Tyrone. Sort of takes me 3.5 hours drive up home, 3:15.
Yeah.
A couple of days up there. We have our Christmas party this Saturday night.
Oh, very nice.
So
What's the theme?
the
Me and
theme-
Trimby were thinking we're going to go with a Christmas party theme.
We're in Killarney. We're in large groups. There's 3 large groups. Everything must be bought in charity shops. One group must dress up as the Murrays, either something resembling something Bill Murray ever wore, George Murray or Conor Murray. So Conor Murray or Andy Murray, even the tennis player. The other ones are, mine is blazers and short shorts.
Nice.
So blazers, short shorts.
Yeah.
And the last one is pajamas, bedwear,
Loungewear. Very cool.
Stripy pajamas.
Okay, so look
Don't know
out
how
for
they're
that if
gonna
you're in
find
Killarney this weekend. Did you put up a Christmas tree this year?
This year, I'm living with James Hart, and we have a miserable Christmas tree up on the window. Like, it's not even.
Is it real? Fake?
Nah, it's fake.
Because I was looking at your Instagram. There's an unbelievable video halfway down your Instagram from an apartment you lived in France where you chucked a Christmas tree out probably a 10th story window.
No, it was only 4.
Was it 4?
4. It looks phenomenal, and the sound of it's phenomenal. But I wasn't expecting it to land upright whatsoever. But it had a wooden block on the bottom.
Yeah.
And just weighed it all down. And
It's like that the bottle trick where people flick a bottle and it lands upright. This is him throwing a Christmas tree, a 7-foot Christmas tree, out a 4-story window, and it lands upright, like the flukiest thing ever. But
the only reason
check it
I
out.
was chucking it out really was because it was probably February time and the pine needles were all brown and they were falling off. They were real fragile. I didn't want
You're being decent
to have to hoover the whole apartment block.
as opposed to just having the crack and throwing stuff out your window.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, well, can we steal that and stick it on our,
Work
on our
away,
show?
yeah, that's fine.
Okay, check it out.
Okay, that was Chris Farrell, and we'll hear more from him later on. We'll also be announcing our Guinness Made of More Player of the Weekend, and we will get a chance to answer all your Twitter questions also. But first, to Leinster in the RDS and their win over Connacht. What did you make of that?
I think
What a game.
maybe it's just your typical underdog. You're saying like how they ripped. I was thinking Last of the Mohegans style.
I was
the
thinking of
heart.
Indiana Jones as well, like where your man tries to rip, I don't know why.
That's graphic for Indiana Jones. Oh yeah,
He rips the hearts out.
cover
yeah.
the heart,
Classic.
Indy.
Yeah, he didn't. Connacht didn't cover their hearts.
No, they didn't. They should have covered their hearts.
Yeah.
Should have listened to the advice of Short Rod.
Short run, was it?
Yeah.
Connacht didn't have a short rod.
No,
That was it. They had no one to say to cover their heart.
no. Andy Friend should have been on the radio,
What?
short rod-esque.
I heard Andy Friend saying after the game that someone asked him in the press conference whether he would have given out any more advice to the players, or did he give much advice? And he said, no, we gave no advice for the last 10, 15 minutes, that we prefer to leave them make their own decisions. And there you go.
Not one player in the Connacht 15 decided we should cover our hearts. Tell you what, they'll cover their hearts next time.
What was the guy's name that used to tear their hearts out in Indiana Jones?
Oh, he's the main guy, like the guy with the mohawk.
Yeah. Kalima, Husky.
No. Oh, sorry, you're still going Indiana Jones. I thought you were going Last of the Mohegans.
Oh, no.
I was thinking,
Yeah.
he actually cuts his heart out. And it's like pumping in his
so
hand.
evil, that lad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good scene, though. It's
Great
just a more
scene.
graphic version of the Indiana Jones
Yeah.
one, I suppose.
Both quite relevant.
But right at the end of that, the Connacht Leinster game, I think everybody became Connacht supporters.
Yeah.
It's just your classic underdog thing. And then as Leinster scored, it kind of for the last 5 minutes, it did look a little bit inevitable.
Did.
A little bit like All Blacks when they were in Dublin, 2013, or sorry, whatever year it was, where they came back, and then it just the camera kind of panned to Bundy, a key, and I swear I thought he was about to knock George Clancy out.
Didn't he? What was he had no argument, but he
No,
was
I thought I'd
trying
maybe missed something obvious, but you know, whenever you're desperate, you're going, please, George, anything.
Just give me anything.
I thought he was about to punch him in the head.
Oh, yeah, it was
poor George Clancy.
heartbreaking. Yeah.
Either that or it'd tear his heart out. Unlucky George.
A lot of heartbreaking in RDS. I think a good way to analyse this game for the two of us is to start with Connacht, split it into two games. Connacht for the first 69 minutes, look at that, and then we'll look at how Leinster snatched it out of their hands for the last 11 minutes. So, yeah, Connacht couldn't have been more impressive in the first 69 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
Bonus point against Leinster after 48 minutes in the RDS, scoring some ridiculous tries. First try, Cian Kelleher, I think they managed to expose the O'Loughlin in the centre. He's playing 13. Don't think he normally plays 13.
Yeah, he's
more
played a
of
little
12.
bit. He used to play more in the wing. I think he's played more 13 recently.
Has he?
Has he played a bit 12? Has
Good
he?
bit of 12.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, they were off a line out, and or was it a scrum? And he was inside as a 13. He was inside the first post.
Yeah.
Got really narrow. I mean, it was very well executed and a great score, but it was just good. Point being, it was good to see Connacht kind of going after them there, seeing that as probably a weakness.
It could have been the ball was very obviously going to Bundy, and then Farrell was coming short. So you're going, you can't leave a one-on-one really there. So you can see why they narrowed up a little bit. But yeah, it's. I think Bundy he's got a reputation for being very direct, very physical, but no one seems to appreciate the subtlety to his game.
Oh yeah.
So skilled, just out the back to Carty, and then it's just hands on the edge. But yeah, it looked very simple. Maybe that's because it was executed so well, but I thought, yeah, they looked a little bit narrow, a little bit naive, very on-Leinster-like.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I loved watching Aki and Farrell play. Aki had another one where he just had a little drop-off pass where it looked like he was going out the back of Farrell. Yeah, and Farrell hit a really good line. Very impressive, Farrell. He's the top offloader in the league, I think, in the Pro 14. Every time he makes a break or anytime he gets a half a shoulder, he's looking to offload. For Leader's try, unbelievable offload.
Yeah.
Great finish from Leader. Had another one for, I can't remember, he made a little break off Aki's pass and gave another lovely offload off the ground. But I think Jack Carty is probably the one that should focus on most.
He was class, wasn't he? He looks very, very composed.
Doesn't he?
And the RDS, no one goes down there and kind of looks as confident as he did or the lads around him did, to be fair. And a little bit of late disruption as well with Tom Farrell going to 13, Nikki coming in, and Godwin moving out to the wing. Despite that disruption, Keelan Blade was brilliant as well. So it was the 9, 10, 12, 13, I suppose. Axis just was so good. So just decisions they made were just perfect. Physical when they need to be physical, and just went out the back, made really good decisions. And then it's just a shame just kind of what happened in the end. But yeah,
I think the confidence thing is huge. I think you're right there. They look like Andy Friend I think he's ultra positive guy apparently, so he has them buzzing. wasn't the play. And like you said, Carty he controlled it really well, but then had little more like his own try, that chip regather, like that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's
skill
class
to do
skill,
that against
really is.
Leinster. I think, the Connacht set piece for me was huge. It was absolutely exceptional. They'd 100% off their lineouts, solid scrum, and that, of course, allows Carty and Blade and the rest to have that platform to play off.
Yeah, Liam Tolan was raving about Tom McCartney's darts in the line-out, and it did look, again, for neither of us who really have a clue what we're talking about, it did just look so slick. The transfer of the ball was just so smooth, and then that gives guys in the midfield real good opportunities to get over the gain line, get into the game. It was just really, really well executed, really slick. It was pretty impressive, all right.
Yeah. Some other big performances, I thought Jared Butler, he bounced Ruddock at one stage. I was like, that was a huge moment.
I haven't seen Rhys Ruddock being bounced.
Ever.
Yeah.
He absolutely planted. He's a big lad and he's aggressive. Aki's hit on Frawley at the end.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah.
And they were like pumped at that point. So I was like, this is it. They've got it. And then I think when Carty got that kick as well to put it 29-12, I was like, this is it. They're just having all these little moments.
Yeah.
So, like, Carty, man of the match performance at that point, you think they're home and dry. But then, all of a sudden, 11 minutes to go, Leinster.
They're away from home and they're wet.
Yeah. And then Leinster just turn it around. Like, they had a strong side as well, Leinster. It wasn't like they were, obviously they don't have all their internationals and stuff, but they still have a really strong side. So it's not like they called upon the bench to change things around or anything. It was very much, you got to give kudos to Connacht. But, they just didn't allow them play, but then
They just decided, Leinster just decided, right, let's hold on to the ball. And even through some of the phases, Connacht were dominant in defence. They're still making big hits and they were still getting up off the ground and keeping with. But just like Leinster just said, listen, we've done this all season. Hold on to the ball. Let's get back to kind of just really basic rugby, playing with high tempo, just getting over the ball really quickly, really quick pace, rocks. And then they just kept that up. And it's just right. Why didn't we do this from minute one? No matter how well Connacht are defending, they still have to just cope with the intensity of that breakdown. And then Leinster just got their tails up, and you could tell it was just inevitable. They were gonna get the job done in the end.
I think Adam Byrne was the difference for me in the end.
He was brilliant.
Yeah,
brilliant.
He had two offloads for the Levy try.
Yeah.
Within a couple of minutes, they made a break from their own half. He just put the boot down. Accelerated through two tackles, offloaded inside. I think Gibson Park put a kick down into the Connacht 22. Leader picked it up. I think he might have hit Carty or maybe Kelleher. Kelleher, as Tolan said on the comms, should have put it into touch.
Yeah.
Didn't put it into touch. And
I can see why he didn't, because you're thinking, get this ball as far away as possible.
Yeah.
But then it's fool's gold, isn't it?
Cover your heart, man.
Yeah.
Put it into Rose Ed
I know.
and just take a minute.
Yeah, in hindsight, stick it there, slow it down.
Yeah.
Someone be struggling with cramp or
Yeah.
someone look for their contact lens. Something.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's when the kind of experience and how to win at that level kind of kicks in. Not to take anything away from Connacht, but they're the little ones where you get someone to go down with a contact lens or an injury or just start traipsing around the place, drag it out. Do you know when you're on the other end of that, when you're trying to get back into a game and someone's just dragging their hole and you're like, oh my God, come on.
Stop traipsing.
I know what you're doing. Yeah, so like that's all they did. And then, when they kicked it down the field, Leinster regathered. Byrne does the exact same thing again. Accelerates through the tackle, gets an offload, and Levy finished quite strongly. And then it's 73 minutes, and they're within 3 points all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. I was like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
And then, like you said, it almost became inevitable. Inevitable? It almost became inevitable.
That's not what I said.
And like 41, still took them 41 phases. That's the other side of it. Like I thought Connacht might die off in terms of effort or energy because they gave so much for the rest of the game, but they still managed to defend for 41 phases and kept them out, and it was so heartbreaking.
Rhys Ruddock was asked after the game whether he considered taking 3 points, but there was never any chance they were taking. Put Ross Byrne in the pocket and drop
I think Pat, did you ask Rhys a question?
Yeah, because it was at the end. I was just kind of thinking of that. They could have got the draw if they wanted to, go for the drop goal, but Rhys was saying it wasn't in his thoughts at all. We actually have a clip of that. We can play that now.
Wasn't in my mind anyway. My kicking days are over. So, but no, to be honest, my thought process was to go for a try. I just felt like we found a bit of our flow, and we had them under pressure for the first time in that game in that last 15 minutes. So I think that the feel out there was that we were gonna get another try. Obviously, that decision would be up to Ross, but I know the forwards were pretty confident that we could just hold on to the ball and manage to sneak over at the end.
And there was a real sense in the crowd when Jack put over that long penalty that could be it. Like, they could be too far ahead of you guys. Like, was it you? Like, when you were under the post, are you the guy doing the talking? Is anybody else doing the talking under the post there?
I think a lot of guys, like Scott and Ross Byrne, and there was loads of guys who had the presence of mind to know that we were off our game, and if we held on to the ball, we'd get opportunities. We knew that attack-wise, we hadn't really had too many opportunities, but it was only a matter of time before, if we held on to the ball, we would get a chance to strike. So we were confident in that. We just knew we had to shore up our defence. So that became kind of the big focus in that second half. And once we started to, get a little bit of momentum, we could almost feel the tide start to turn a little bit. So guys like Ross and even I heard Ed Byrne to say someone when that went over, we're still going to win. So it was good to have guys with just a belief. There wasn't guys kind of looking around for reassurance. I think everyone knew what had to be done, so it was good.
Okay, that's Rhys Ruddock there. Yeah, kind of proving your point that they still believed, even though when Carty got that kick, they still had that belief that they were going to win the game.
Yeah,
That's what it's all about.
As Rhys said there, they kind of felt the tide turning, and they felt like momentum's on our side, and almost the try's going to come easier, because they had that momentum and they had that foothold. But even despite that, they're sitting underneath the sticks, right on the line, and it feels like the try's inevitable from one side. But then they're already sitting on 2 game points, and if they score, if they drop into the pocket and take 3 points, then they only take 1 more point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So 1 more point rather than, it doesn't make sense. There's a lot more return for only slightly more risk. Whenever Rhys said it felt more secure. It's kind of like the All Blacks made that mistake, I suppose, when they were playing South Africa. They went for the try because they felt like there were fewer moving parts. And then they cocked it up on that occasion. But still,
that was to win the game, though, wasn't it, rather than draw it?
Yeah, would they have
with
won
the drop
with the penalty?
With the drop goal, I think they'd have won it.
Yeah,
they would have. So, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
And Leinster, their return from entering the Connacht 22 was quite good. They did score 5 tries in the game, which 5-4. So they were scoring tries. Mightn't have been making breaks all over the field like Connacht were, but once they got into that 22, they were getting a return. So totally back why they did that. And an interesting few points, like what he said there about some of the younger players that stood up. Like I thought Conor O'Brien again. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's really physical.
Yeah.
And yeah, they didn't play particularly poorly. Even to be that far down it after 48 minutes.
I think they just defended a little bit. They just, as Rhys kind of touched on it as well, they were a little bit spread out a couple of times, and then Connacht went through them, and then they got tight, and then Connacht went round them, and they just were a little bit naive, which is very unlike them. They sorted that out, and then even just once or twice their tackle tech actually was a little bit poor. But once they sorted that out, then they got on top, and then they're winners, aren't they? They just kind of took the game away from Connacht in the end.
Yeah, huge win for Leinster there after that first half. But we'll move on. You were up in Ravenspan on Friday night. for a little bit of a dirty enough game. Dirty, a bit of it. Yeah, it was a nice battle. Wasn't a great game of rugby, to be fair, wasn't it? But plenty happened, plenty to talk about.
Yeah.
Robert Balakoon's yellow card. I can't go any further than that because it was 12 seconds in. 100% should have been a red card. What do you think? I watched your co-coms or your thing. You were sitting on the fence there. You tried to move along swiftly when you were asked about it.
I tried to communicate that I thought it was red, but just not be that clear in that I thought it was red. I think when you go that hard and you take a guy out so clearly, no kind of, I mean, he wasn't looking at the ball at all. He was 100% just going straight through him. Yeah. Sweetenham, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then he did. I wondered if, as he landed, I think the TMO said that he landed on his side, but he didn't really. Kind of landed his shoulder and his head whipped onto the floor. So, yeah, I think Ulster got very lucky there.
Yeah, it was.
All right,
absolutely. Thank you. So I think when you were asked at half time, you were like, I think we'll take a yellow there, and then sure we'll see how he goes there in the second half, moving along there quickly.
What's the second half got to do with anything? No, I was panicking.
You were. Very strange decision. Well, I suppose it was 12 seconds in. The refs just kind of doesn't want to make. It was probably better for the game that he didn't. But Munster would feel a little bit hard done by. Someone pointed out they should have had 4 red cards. Or Cass should have had 4 red cards in the game last week. So I think, the referees' decisions have been a little bit harsh on Munster for the last week.
And as you rightly say, Sammy Arnold got red carded in the same fixture last year.
I did. Same ref, Sean Gallagher,
Yeah.
red carded Sammy Arnold for a high tackle, which I didn't think was a red card at the time, but it changed the game, and Ulster came back and won it. And
I thought it was a red card.
Did you?
Yeah.
It was.
From what I remember now, it was obviously a long time ago, but yeah.
God, I'm a little.
It depends how when you do it.
Yeah.
Kind of I suppose the impression, the public perception
Yeah.
of what's a red and what's a yellow
Yeah.
changes all the time.
It does.
Within a few weeks, it changes. Even look at Cipriani's red card in October.
I mean, Farrell does a couple of similar tackles.
A month later,
Yeah.
they're grand.
Yeah. That's mad.
Cipriani's getting banned.
Yeah.
Whilst Farrell's throwing his weight around, wrecking boys 2 weeks in a row.
Say nothing. Yeah, it depends on who your dad is, maybe. So yeah, that was an interesting start to it. Then it just became a little bit of a, I don't know. It was stop start. There was no flow to it. Munster, in fairness, had a lot of fresh faces on the field. A lot of players that hadn't played much rugby at all. Archer, Klein, O'Shea, Wycherley, Oliver, Matheson, Tout, Sweetenham haven't played for 2 or 3 months, and I think a lot of their partnerships 9, 10, 12, 13 the line out wasn't running as smoothly as possible. That's a hard thing to do to kind of bring that bond together when you haven't been playing much.
Yeah, I think so. I think the one thing Munster did bring, they brought a lot of physicality. There's a lot of big hits going on. It was, in some senses, it was a classic interpro, in that there was a lot of niggle. There was a lot of there was a lot of shirt grabbing.
Yeah.
O'Mahony would have loved it.
Wouldn't he?
He's a shirt grabber.
Yes. He learned from the best.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So even Ian Nagel, who obviously has kind of done the rounds a little bit with the provinces, took a bit of a sabbatical as well.
Yeah.
Came back in, maybe his first start, maybe his second start. Pat?
I think it was his first.
First start?
You keep chatting there, I'll find out.
I think it might be his first
I think
start.
it might have been his first start, yeah.
And I thought he went really well. Looked really physical, looked really kind of composed, and he had big shoes to fill because Ian Henderson has dragged the pack up. He has been leading the way in the last few weeks. And then obviously devastating for him, breaking his thumb, rupturing a tendon in his thumb or something, out for 12 weeks. Ian Nagel comes in there, and I thought he just picked up where Hendy left off.
Yeah.
Did really well. There's that, again, I don't know how much to read into this, but there was a little bit of chat about Munster getting beat up in cast, and I don't like that because it's very old school, isn't it? I mean, that doesn't happen anymore.
No.
That's not why they lost.
No, I agree.
And there's 2 ways to look at it, and I've kind of had contrasting kind of experiences of coaches and how they interpret that, that shirt grabbing and niggle, and that confrontation. And so Joe Schmidt, I know, would be very much, his argument would be poker faced and just don't have anything to do with it. This has no effect on the rugby because the rugby is a separate thing altogether. We're going to beat you at rugby, and if you want to carry on like this,
it's
so
like
he'd be very poker faced. And even in the confrontational stuff, but even when you score tries, he'd be very much poker faced. Let's get back and let's score another try. Whereas John O'Gibbs would be very much, if one of your buddies is getting a hard time, then let's all show up. Let's be together. Let's be kind of strong, give a strong impression, or I don't know what it is. It just feels like more unity. And even he said, I remember he said, we were playing Treviso and we scored, and then there wasn't much buzz or much excitement. And he said in the meeting on Monday morning, lads, did we work hard for that try? And then they were like, well, yeah, of course, we executed something, we trained hard, and we executed. And he said, well, then why do we not look happy about it?
Yeah.
Why don't we get in, celebrate, enjoy that buzz, feed off each other, get that energy? But again, Joe Schmidt's argument would be, let's be poker faced. Let's not get excited because of course we score tries. This is what we do.
Right.
And that it's just those two contrasts. I can see massive value in both of them.
I heard some of the Munster players saying that they have a new psychologist that's working them at the moment, and he says that it's very important at away matches. He puts a lot of emphasis on when Munster are away from home, if they win a scrum or if they win a penalty or they score a try, then you got to show unity. You got to create your own buzz, because obviously the home supporters aren't going to be cheering for you. They're going to be on your back. So you create your own buzz. So that made a lot of sense to me. So I suppose it's knowing when to have your moments, because you don't want to focus on celebrating. You don't want that to be a directive going into the game. You want to focus on just getting the job done and then celebrate when you feel it needs to be. But
yeah, and as a winger as well, if they're all celebrating over there, I've got to run all the way. Be knackered by the time I get back out here.
Just learn how to dance on your own, man. Do the robot. But just going back to the Munster being beaten up thing, I agree with you. I heard another thing about the referee for the Cast game, were given Munster directive that, and Cast, that going into that game, they didn't want to see any niggle, they didn't want to see any fighting off the ball or any arguing. They want to, very disciplined in those areas. That was something that they were really looking on since the first game in Thomond Park. And that's all Cast seemed to do for the whole game, was focus on that. And Munster obviously didn't get involved following the orders of the referee. And then it probably looked like they were beaten up then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's annoying.
It is annoying. That is annoying because that's got nothing to do with the rugby that's being played.
Just get on with it, but it does affect the crowd and it affects the ref and so on. But there was a little bit of that on Saturday night in the game. But for me, like Munster, I was looking at their set piece, for example. They didn't get any. They won all their lineouts, but they didn't get any ball off the top to the backs, let's say, until the 57th minute or something like that. Everything was a maul or slowed down, and you can understand why they kind of want to take the sting out of the home team and the way Ulster have been playing of late. That they've been playing quite an expansive game. They had a lot of dangerous backs playing. So and then that was, I suppose, working up until 57 minutes. They were still only a point behind, but I think I'd love to see them probably go out and throw the ball around. I've said that before, but
it actually, when I watched it back in the video, it didn't look as wet as it was on the night. It was a little bit minging. It was tricky to play that kind of rugby. Having said that, Ulster did get a lot more joy whenever they got the ball wide. So maybe they got the joy because they went wide, or maybe they got the joy because they gave it to Will Addison.
Yeah.
So maybe that combination of both, when he gets a bit of space.
Oh, he's so good at that age. Just taking, I think he burnt both on one point, and he was getting his hands free. And
even Sammy Arnold coped with him once or twice, but by coped with, I mean he just held on to him.
Yeah.
But still, Addison's kind of.
He was the difference. For me again.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Yeah. Also, Rory Best's offload. I'm a huge fan of an offload. I think wins games.
Yeah.
Throwing that offload at the right time.
I certainly thought when he went into contact, that's not a collision that he's going to get an offload out of, because he was getting hit by 3 lads.
Yeah.
and just managed to wriggle. To be honest, if he hadn't got the offload, he probably had no option. He had to go for it because he was getting outnumbered. He was probably going to go backwards, and he might have got turned over.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of, listen, I have to try and get this way.
Yeah.
Then Billy Burns linked with James Hume, who made a big impression as well.
Didn't he?
Again, something like a little bit of a goose step, that overs, kind of Will Addison.
Mm-hmm.
And then he obviously, Shanahan, Balakoon, try.
Yeah, it was that was the winning of the match there and then. Once they were kind of chasing it then a little bit, they had a very harsh decision against Botha for a penalty when the ball was clearly knocked on.
I agree.
And Shanahan kind of knocked it on.
Oh, I don't think Shanahan got to. I think the ball popped out the side of the rock.
Okay,
whoever it was holding it.
Yeah, that's right.
But again,
Ball
it just
was out.
popped out, and Arno Botha went for it.
Yeah.
That was really harsh.
And then the result of that was the second try. And yeah, if that hadn't happened, I think Munster just started getting their tails up a little bit, started playing a little bit more. Maybe that was the plan, was to keep it tight, and then they brought on like Tommy O'Donnell. Great to see him back, actually. Kilcoyne had a massive impact, and they started getting their tails up. But then, yeah, just that moment, again, huge decision by the ref, and it changes the game. But
the ref, I thought, looked like he just didn't want any bother. Like, no, that's too complicated. Penalty. And then there was another one where Stuart McCuskey goes to, maybe 10 minutes earlier than that, he goes to counter rock, and he's like, you know that one where you grab their jersey and you're pulling and pushing? Yeah. And the guy is like, oh, make your mind up. And
you don't know whether you're allowed to do that.
Yeah. And the ref goes, no. And Stu's like,
leave him.
Why? Yeah, leave him. Why?
It's like your mother telling you to leave your brother alone in the back of the car. Leave him. I'll come back to you. You're like just counter-rucking your brother in the back of the car. Yeah, he didn't fill me with mass. I hate giving out about refs, but he didn't fill me with huge confidence. But yeah, it was a good battle in the end, and I think with the teams they had in the field, then I suppose it wasn't a surprise that Ulster came out on top. But a great kick from Bill Johnson at the end to get a bonus point for Munster. So, it was great trial for Irish rugby, and to see those players coming up against each other, and going to be even more interesting leading into the two games next week. But coming up, we've got a look at Munster versus Leinster and Connacht versus Ulster next week in the Pro 14. We'll tackle your Twitter questions and reveal our Guinness Made of More Player of the Weekend. But next, I'm chatting with Chris Farrell. When I met him down in Limerick on Wednesday, we just sat down for a cup of tea and now we'll chat. Okay, welcome to Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby. We are here today doing an outside broadcast in the University of Limerick, the Arena Cafe. If you hear some noise in the background, people having their breakfast. But we are joined by Chris Farrell. How are you, Chris?
Good, very good.
We've given Chris a break from the high performance unit next door from Munster to allow him just get out of there. You're in there day and night, I presume, at this stage. So
nice to get out of there.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, although you probably spend a lot of time here as well.
Used to, yeah. Now there's a few other cafes around where
there's a few options.
We're mixing it.
Yeah. I was telling the lads that in Limerick, especially Castle Troy, you have to work hard to avoid the Munster rugby players around here. You're very kind of cliquey.
It's actually what Barry O'Mahony was saying the other day. He was like, I'm just back from Atlanta and want to go for breakfast, and the first thing I bumped into is you lads, and had to sit down beside us in Lacachina because it's tiny, so we literally had to kind of avoid us. That's
lovely. I think that's the beauty of Limerick, though, isn't it? That you can kind of get on with it.
Exactly.
You can mix with the fans and mix with the people around here. And
yeah, I think the fans or certainly the people of Castle Troy become a bit desensitised to us because they see us so often. So
yeah. So you're enjoying your time in Limerick?
Love it, yeah. Love it. Yeah.
Well, you've had an interesting journey, well documented, I'm sure, and you're well used to talking about it. Coming out of school, straight into the Ulster setup, a couple of years there, and then massive decision to move to France.
Yeah.
A few years over there, and then back to Munster. But yeah, what was that? 21 years of age were you when you?
21, yeah.
You left?
A lot of people always say when we were talking about it, it was a massive decision, but at the time for me, it didn't really feel like a big decision. I wasn't where I wanted to be at the stage because I played for Ulster when I was really young. I was 18 when I played for Ulster and had a couple of games that went quite well, and then just got struck down with a few injuries that ended up being long term, and there's probably a bit of I certainly put a bit of pressure on myself to be in a better place than I was when I became 21, and then I just decided that I needed a change of environment to try and get away from all that pressure that I had put on myself, and went to Grenoble whenever the chance arose, so it worked out very well for me.
Yeah, from your Instagram it looked incredibly enjoyable.
Yeah.
You got out and about in Grenoble.
Yeah, I loved it, yeah. There was
so much to do.
So much to do. The weather was unbelievable in the summer, and in the winter you had the Alps right beside you, so there was just so much to do. And
skiing, was that allowed? You were allowed to
ski?
Yeah,
so it was one of those things that the president asked us to send him an email if he wanted to go skiing. He would say yes or no, and probably depending on whether there was any injuries in your position or what games were coming up or whatnot, but he never ever said no to me. Never. We used to go on squad trips up the ski slopes. We were sponsored by Alpe d'Huez, which is a ski resort, and stay up there for the weekends whenever we had weekends off. It was a brilliant lifestyle in the winter.
Wow. I've seen you doing the Wim Hof breathing technique in an ice cold lake, frozen lake.
Yeah, I had an Aussie friend of mine who was big into Wim Hof.
Yeah.
Big into that stuff. So we smashed a bit of a lake open that was frozen one time and jumped in.
How long did you do?
I think it was maybe 2 minutes. It's quite a lot. We did a lot of that because there's a lot of clear water mountain lakes around there. Like, and even in the winter, they'd be freezing cold because the water would be coming down through glaciers. Wow. And it'd be so hot. It'd be like 40 degrees in Grenoble sometimes in the summer. We used to finish training pretty early because we trained from very early to stay out of the heat, and in the afternoon we'd all head up some of the cold lakes and stuff. So.
And the ice cold lake, is that like in comparison ice bath? Like we used to use the ice baths down here downstairs. Yeah. Worst part of my rugby career, getting in and out of those things.
It'd be colder, I feel like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it'd be freezing. It'd been like, I think we brought a thermometer with us one time and they were like 8 degrees, which is pretty cold.
Pretty cold. Yeah. Wow. Tough. But yeah, so the rugby, obviously you got like 90 caps for Grenoble. You scored a lot of tries, obviously developed a lot as a player over there.
Yeah, probably the main thing is just I stayed injury free. I had 3 seasons where I had nothing serious that kept me out of playing. I fractured my sternum, but managed to play pretty much through that for the next few weeks. And yeah, I just loved the buzz of playing rugby week in, week out, and there's such a massive build-up in the top 14 that all those games are huge no matter where you go. You go to your Oyonnax and your Breves and your perceived smaller clubs, but the home games for those guys is absolutely massive. The build-up around the travel days over to those sort of towns and the derby games are huge. It's an exciting place to play rugby.
Always against top opposition. A lot of top centres, I'm sure, as well, from overseas playing over there. So you're learning a lot playing against those kind of players.
Yeah, it's probably for me at the start, I was like, whoa, what's going on? Like there was played against Manon and stuff, and Bastro in the first year there, and Dan Carter against Rossi and all this, and these guys were people that I had watched from when I was young, and I probably never expected myself to be playing in the same league as those lads at that age in a foreign country, in a foreign team. It was a bit
surreal, isn't it? It's like if you could handpick who to play against every week. And what as a fellow 13, as you know, like you named a few of my favourite 13s, never got to play against them, but like I'm always interested to see how you would have looked as yourself as a 13 growing up. Were you, because like you're 6'4" or 5", you're 110 kgs, would you have been, stereotypically you would have thought you'd have been a guy that would just run over people, run through people, demolish people, but yet you've got a much more softer hand than you think. You create space before contact a lot of the time. Is that something you developed, or is that something that you've always
No, it's something that I probably developed when I was young. I played, whenever I was in Ulster, whenever I was in like the under-18s and stuff in Ulster, I remember Johnny Bell and Niall Malone and Gary Longwell used to actually travel down to 5 Mile Town, to where I'm from, out in the country during the week after school, on lunch breaks in school and stuff the odd time, and I'd be in the hall doing skills with those guys on my own, and there might have been 2 of them there, so I got through a lot of skill
work. Were they development officers back then?
They were possibly sub-academy and academy stuff.
Right, yeah.
And that's probably what influenced me to then go to Campbell College. I went and boarded in Campbell College for my last year of school, and seen a lot more. I got a lot more exposure to those lads whenever I was living in Belfast and studying in Belfast as well, and won the Schools Cup that year. So yeah, they put a lot of time into me whenever I was young, certainly, and I think I benefited from that, skill set wise.
Yeah, and obviously that brought you into Joe Schmidt's plans then. I think you fit that role that he's looking for from a centre, someone that can throw those loop passes, get their hands free, throw a wide pass. You've mentioned Joe as a big kind of influence on you when you were in France as well, kept in touch.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Look, yeah, I hope I'm the sort of centre that he's looking for. And yeah, whenever I was in France, I had a bit of contact from him, and there was times where midweek I'd receive a text message from him, and it would be sort of times in games from the weekend past where I'd done something and I could have done something better or something I did well, and he just wanted to highlight it. So we kept in touch a bit, not a massive amount, but he certainly let me know that he was watching, and that was great for me as well.
And that brought you home to Ireland and Munster. So you're here 18 months now. 18 months.
And
you've had a rough year with injury, but good to see you back. This time it's not as serious as the last knee injury. But talk me through what it was like getting back on the field, and like for me it was incredible to watch you come back, and within one game, playing a half I suppose in the first game you came back, to playing a man of the match performance in my eyes the second week. Did you surprise yourself with that, or did you go into that game just happy to be back?
Yeah, I was just delighted to be back, but I was just really hungry to show people that, you know, I suppose I've been gone for 8 months, and you know, when you're injured you feel a bit guilty for being gone, for not, you know, for Munster not having your services, because, you know, they're your employer essentially, and other people not having your services, so you do feel guilty. It's a weird thing to say. But you do, and I just wanted to sort of prove people that I'm back, and I can go straight back into these things and be on form and whatnot. And
a nice game to come back into, I suppose, as well, when you're getting your hands on the ball a lot. And
yeah, great game to come back into, you know, with all the international lads playing, and a 4G there down in Cork, which is lovely to play on, and it was a dry day, and it was a great game to come back. We prepared really well for that game leading into Europe the week after, and it was a great game to come back into.
Yeah, and then with the Six Nations ahead and the big year for Ireland, you know, with Joe Schmidt making that decision to move on, does it make it kind of inspire you a little bit more to go out and try and do a little bit more for him, or win the World Cup for him, or is that something that you think about?
Yeah, well, I certainly don't know. All I think about right now is getting back for Munster and then trying to push for that squad for the Six Nations, because, you know, there's a lot of quality centres that are playing really good rugby at the minute, and you know, every time you get into that squad is an achievement for me anyway, and I just want to get back into that squad now. So hopefully I get back in the next few weeks and have a couple of games in time to prove him that I'm good enough to be in that squad. But, you know, if I do, I think there certainly will be an added little bit of motivation for the squad, in that he's moving on in 6, 7, 8 months time, and he's done so much for Irish rugby, whether that has been with Leinster and what he's done for those guys, and what he's done for the country itself. You know, the buzz around Dublin around November, and the way rugby has kicked on over the last few years since he's been in charge is phenomenal in Ireland. So Ireland in a whole owes an awful lot to him.
Yeah. And how do you find them with that buzz and that kind of, I always look at it as a funnel, it's all going towards the Irish team, and like the provinces, the schools, the clubs, the supporters, there's a unity there at the moment, but it'll all be blown open in the next couple of weeks when the provinces come back to play against each other. Ulster versus Munster, Leinster versus Connacht, vice versa, and they're all swapping. Do you think it'll go back to being very heated affairs, and they like Irish trials?
Oh yeah, definitely. It definitely will be. Yeah. It's just natural, you know, when you come up against someone who's in your position face to face, who's fighting for a position in the Six Nations squad, that there's going to be a little bit of, I would say, selfish motivation in a way. You know, you want to prove to those watching that you can mix it with him, or you can you can provide better things than him or whatnot. So there'll definitely be a lot of heat in those games.
Do you relish the opportunity to go back and play against Ulster then? A few of your mates back there.
You know, I would have hoped I would have been playing this weekend, but unfortunately not. But yeah, look, I would love to play against Ulster.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of friends up there still, so
it's good crack to get out against them. Yeah. And what about outside rugby then? When you are injured in those for those long months, is there anything like, you know, for me when I used to play back in the day, they were the hardest parts when you get over the initial month of the shock of being injured, surgery, whatever, and then you've got 6 months ahead of you.
Yeah, it flies though. It really does fly.
Yeah.
Like this one, it flew, even though it was 8.5 or 8 months. It flew for me, and first 4 months were gone like a flash. But yeah, I guess keep yourself busy with preparing the team for the games that are coming up and whatnot, and I've been involved with some of the defensive stuff whenever I wasn't playing. Also, you know, I took up studying again. Whenever I went to France, I parked a sport and exercise degree and never
out in the
never
countryside.
did the dissertation. Yeah. So focused on speaking a bit of French and learning French, and never did the dissertation. So finally back doing that. Hopefully get that finished now this season. And
okay, so that's what you spend most of your time doing when you're injured, just
a little bit,
nerding.
Most of us leave it all for the last minute, as per usual.
yeah. Cramming in. Well, that's cool, man. Well, look, we're delighted to see you back for Munster and for Ireland. As a Munster fan, we just love watching you play, man. Trimby sends his love as well. He's a huge fan of yours. You're another one of those ones that he was delighted to be retired when you came along. So, and I agree that I was either playing against you or with you. I think you're the dream number 13. So that's Chris Farrell, man. Thanks a million for coming in. Absolute pleasure. Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Okay, that was Chris Farrell there. Can't wait to see him back for Munster. I think they massively miss him at the moment. Obviously, just seeing how good he is when he came back and the impression he left on that midfield. So, yeah, lovely fella, and thanks for that, Chris. Before we move on, I just wanted to correct you on, you called your man from Indiana Jones Short Rod. I knew there was something in my brain that wasn't right. It's Short Round.
Yeah.
Just to call him Shorty.
And in the break, you checked with Pat.
Thank you, Pat. I also realised that, back to our Die Hard conversation where you were saying it's Die Hard, or was the second one, and I said it was Die Hard 2 and Die Hard 3. And Indiana Jones is never one that you say Indiana Jones 1, 2 or 3.
I wouldn't even know the order. I would just know the names. So
it's Temple of Doom, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Last Crusade, and then we'll leave it there. Forget about that abomination of the fourth one. Was Raiders of the Lost Ark the first one? Yeah. Was. Great films.
Yeah.
That's one for tomorrow now. Hungover, Indiana Jones, boom. Not Die Hard.
Not the Goonies.
So what are you getting off Senti?
I'm not sure actually. I know my wife was very disorganized this year, so it'll be a last minute. Yeah, I know. My kids have been so good the last while.
They get you presents and
stuff?
No.
They've just been really well behaved.
Oh,
because
the threat is real.
I don't know how many fake phone calls to Santa I've made. when he's acting up, I'm like, Jack, hello Santa. Yeah, see that trampoline? Jack's like, no, I'll eat my dinner. I'm going, you're damn right, you'll eat your dinner. Right, never mind, Santa. What? I'll have a Garmin. Yeah, cheers. Garmin for the bike.
Garmin.
Auntie Anna's been very good as well. So
Garmin.
Yeah, see you, Santa.
God, what a disappointing present.
Be in touch.
How does the Easter Bunny have the same effect? Or is it just like a once time of the year?
I'm not sure the Easter Bunny has as high a profile as Santa.
No.
They're not in the same league, surely.
Nah, they don't really care about the Easter Bunny, do they? They always get chocolate anyway. They're just like, shut up, man, give me chocolate.
Yeah.
So just this one time of the year you can use and abuse. Santi, did you get me anything?
I did, yeah.
I saw this little gift over there and I was like...
I was scanning your sofa for a gift.
I didn't have a gift, but then I heard you had a gift for me, so then I went to the toilet and I got you a cactus.
Oh, thank you.
So you can take that.
I always wanted a ceramic cactus.
There you go. There's actually a few of them in there.
An unwrapped ceramic cactus.
Cacti. Thank you for this, man.
No problem.
This is so nice of you. For any of you that are listening, Andrew has given me a little Oh my God. That is unbelievable. A pair of socks with my actual cat's face on them. Are they socks?
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is the best present ever. That's what you asked me. He texted me last week asking me for a picture of my cat. And
I said, Barry, this is a weird question. Don't ask any questions back. Just tell me
oh my God. Just give me a picture of your cat.
and say nothing more.
And he got me. Oh man, I'm never going to take these off.
Are they good quality though?
They're festive. They're stretchy.
Yeah.
They're red, and they have my cat on it.
I think you play quite a conservative sock game.
I do. Yeah, I do. The black ones, kind of the long johns,
So
but
that'll spice things up.
spice things up.
You can just show it to the camera there, Barry. Just this one here.
Sorry,
That's Scotty, isn't it?
Scotty. I'll get up close.
I've never met Scotty.
He's a legend.
It's blurry as hell.
But that's grand. You get the idea. Thank you so much, man. That is so kind of you. I'm delighted. I should have gotten you something more. I didn't. But look,
I'm happy enough.
wait till Easter comes around.
Cactus.
Cactus. Okay, so moving on. We've got to look forward to beyond Christmas. Munster versus Leinster, Connacht versus Ulster. Two huge games. Munster versus Leinster first in Thomond Park. Word on the street is both are going to be fully loaded with international superstars. For example, we should have Conway versus Lowe, Earls versus Larmer, Byrne versus Ryan, O'Mahony versus Van der Fleer, Stander versus Conan, Murray versus McGrath, Scannell versus Ringrose, Carberry versus Sexton. They just go on and on. It's endless.
Did we name everyone?
I think most players, yeah.
That just about covers it.
Yeah, anyone that's left out is going to be feeling fairly low after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's mouth-watering.
Yeah, I think that interpro from an Ulster point of view, sadly, is always up there. Munster,
Yeah,
Leinster's
yeah.
the big one, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I always wondered, whenever Ulster go down to Dublin, and Connacht the same, we always get play them at the RDS.
Mm-hmm.
But then Munster always get to play at the Viva.
They take us into the good room.
Yeah.
You know, when you go up there, they just sit you at the kitchen table, maybe watching telly. Bring you in, you just eat on your lap.
Yeah.
Eat in your lap, watch telly. Take us into the good room.
Yeah.
Pull out the fine cutlery.
It's a 5-course taster menu.
Yeah. Same, vice versa. We usually bring you to Cork, don't we? A lot of the time.
Oh,
Sorry.
I hate it down there. Anyways.
But yeah, cannot wait for that. I'm going to be going to it. And look, I think they will put out the best teams, won't they? I think Munster anyway will have. They didn't play a lot of their starters for the Ulster game, so they should be fully loaded. And it is an opportunity to get one over on Leinster. So I think they'll be going out guns blazing. If they lose against Leinster, that'll be 3 on the trot. That they'll have lost, and then going into Connacht will be a very tough game again, and then heading into Europe. So I know Munster, they'll want to get back on winning ways.
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously they'll have potentially one eye on the Connacht game the following week, just with that being in their same conference.
Mm-hmm.
But Munster Leinster, it's very hard to see past that. That rivalry's enormous, so I think they'll be massively up for that. Yeah, that's going to be a big one.
Yeah, can't wait. And then Connacht versus Ulster. Ulster obviously looking to keep up the momentum that they've been building over the last few weeks, but probably will rest a few, will they?
I'd say so, because they'll probably go full strength against Leinster going into Europe, Racing the following week, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they'll probably rest a few. I think that's going to be very, very tough. Ulster got hammered by Connacht there last year in sports ground, so Connacht look like they're flying at the minute. As we said, they were brilliant. They were the better side for 70 minutes against Leinster. So yeah, I think Ulster will have their hands full.
Great. Great. Yeah, can't wait. That'll be lovely. I love when you're heading into this abyss of Christmas where you have no idea what day it is. You're just when it just changes to dates. I'm just working off dates. So I think we'll be in the middle of it there and we get to like the 28th, 29th to be like, what day is it? Where am I? Still wearing my same cat socks every day. But we put out a vote on the Guinness Made of More Player of the Weekend last night, and here were your nominees: Connacht's Jack Carty and Darrell Leader, Marcel Coetzee of Ulster, and Leinster scrum half Jameson Gibson Park. Thanks for all your votes and comments, but the winner of Paul O'Connell's Teeth this week is Jack Carty.
Well done, Jack.
Fair play, man. You'll have the teeth. I think it'd be good to get them in like a Christmas cracker, send them down.
Nice, yeah.
So you could pull them at the Christmas table.
Yeah.
And then put them in
Careful.
with the crown.
Yeah.
Yeah, crown and teeth.
Put the teeth in your head.
On the way, Jack. Keep an eye out for them. We also put out a shout for your Twitter questions using the following hashtag AskHOR, and here are some of your best ones. Ed Kidney, what's the Christmas toy you wanted but never got, Andrew?
To be honest, I think I got everything I ever wanted.
Spoiled rotten.
And
Yeah.
you can tell.
You can. There you go, Ed. Quaylen asks, can we acknowledge how good Tom Farrell and Jack Carty were? I think we just did. We gave Jack
Yeah.
Carty Paul O'Connell's teeth.
Yeah, get up to date, Quaylen. If
And
that's your real name.
yeah, Quaylen. Boys are
I
laughing.
think we're going to get a
here.
strongly
know.
written letter from Quaylen.
Yeah. But we got another cracker in from, I'm not sure who this is from actually, but question is, in Game of Thrones, being
Good start.
rugby, is Dev Toner Hodor, is Rob Kearney Jamie Lannister, is Jacob Stockdale Jon Snow, is Barry Sir Jorah, and is Trimby Sir Barristan? Great question. First of all, I don't think either of us are those people because they're nobodies and they're boring. So I'm definitely Jon Snow or someone like that.
So you're taking Stockdale's role?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah, it's wasted on him. Not wasted on him. I think we'll start with the families, right? So I think Leinster are the Lannisters.
100%.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
In that collectively, all assholes.
Yeah.
But individually, Jamie Lannister's sound.
I actually quite like Jamie Lannister.
Yeah. And even Tyrion's sound.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Dev, great
But
lad.
together they're kind
Jack
of...
McGrath, sound. Johnny, good lad. Not all together.
And it even kind of sounds like it. Leinster.
Yeah.
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 Too easy.
Perfect. Good start.
Munster, obviously, the what are they called? Sean Bean's character, the
Starks.
Starks, definitely Munster. 100%. So wholesome.
I don't think you've enough
So much
integrity
honour.
to be the Starks.
So much honor.
No, I think the
Yeah. No.
Ulster's integrity
And that's
levels.
where I'm Jon Snow.
You're not a Stark then.
But I'm like, I am one of them though.
You're an illegitimate Munster man.
Shit.
You're like Felix. You're illegitimate. You're actually from Dublin.
Yeah. No, he's not a Lannister though.
No, but he's a Snow. Like
He's
he's
a
not actually a
Targaryen or
Stark.
something, is he?
Oh yeah. Well, eventually he is. Yeah.
Okay, so you're the Targaryens, Ulster Targaryens.
That I'm happy to accept.
I'll
that.
give you Daenerys.
Who died and made you the boss?
My name is first, right? I get to decide. You are the Dragon Queen,
That's
right?
fine. That's
okay,
fine.
and Connacht are the lads out in the islands.
Yeah. Only none of them are Ironborn.
Yeah,
They're all come from the Lannister Academy. Oh, I think we've lost all our Connacht listeners.
yep. What are they called again? The Iron lads, the islands. Pat.
The Greyjoys.
The Greyjoys. The
Yeah.
Greyjoys.
They're all
Yeah.
reeks.
Reeks. And who are the wildlings?
The
The Welsh,
Yeah.
Scottish maybe.
Just not us.
Yeah, just not us. That's great, though. Yeah, I love it.
The questions are getting way, way better.
Yeah.
I rewind 4 or 5 weeks, we were getting stuff like, what's your favourite stadium you've ever played at?
Who is this fan you have in your mind?
Just follows you around, shouting things at you. Throwing these terrible questions with that really annoying voice. Yeah, I think more of those. And if anyone has any more suggestions for the Game of Thrones players or families, or
Keep them coming.
keep them coming.
The more offensive, the better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tag Furlong is Mountain.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's not strictly a Lannister, but he's in the Lannister clan.
Yeah, he kind of crushes your man with his head, doesn't he?
Yeah. He squeezes his eyes out.
He'd be well able for that, wouldn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What about the wolf lad? Was it with the big, massive guy with the kind of burnt face?
Oh, yeah. He's Mountain's brother.
Is he?
Yeah. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Pat?
Yeah, their brother. Yeah,
Yeah.
Pat is a fountain of knowledge.
He's just confirming everything.
the books and the
Yeah.
TV show. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there has to be that little douchebag king.
Oh, yeah.
The young lad.
Who's that? That's a very
gonna be
offensive
so
one.
offensive.
You'd be gutted if you're that guy.
I'll let you throw it out there.
Who could that
You've
be?
got it wrapped in a lot more charm than I do, I think.
No, don't tee me up.
Come on.
Don't compliment me and trick me. No, let's leave that one.
We'll leave it off.
That's awful.
Someone out there knows it's them, though.
Yeah.
You know, they're thinking, going, damn it, this is
Yeah.
definitely me. So
Yeah.
whoever you are, you're lucky. It's Christmas. We'll let you off.
We'll tell you in the new year.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's been Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby Christmas Bonanza Special. Woo! We did it.
Happy Christmas!
Happy Christmas. Have a
Woo!
very happy Christmas, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you back here on the 31st of December for New Year's Eve special. We'll be recounting what happened in the interpro games between Munster, Leinster, Connacht, Ulster. Trimby, have
Party
a
on.
very, very happy Christmas.
So happy Christmas.
Party on. This has been Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby here on Joe together with Guinness.